We do have Laura Ingraham, and she joins me now. It's good to see you, Laura. It's been a while.
Hey, good to see you.
Let me just ask you the basic question. The names that we're hearing, Elaine Chao and possibly General Mattis, what do you think of all of this and what's already been announced?
I think that what Trump is trying to balance is the need for people with government experience and the need to drain the swamp at the same time. And I can tell you from my own radio audience today, there is a lot of concern that some of the folks whose names are being floated, obviously Romney, one of them, would be taking Trump back down that road to the swampiest of swamps because they kind of represent yesterday. But I do have to get people to think about it this way as well. You do need individuals who know something about running big organizations and who have served in some capacity in government, in some parts of the government. You can't have everybody running departments who've never done this before. You know, as someone who's worked in the transportation department, and the education department, and in the White House, I can tell you they're all different. They all have their own big bureaucracies, and most of the people in those departments are career appointees. They're not political appointees.
So you need somebody who can deal with that bureaucracy. I understand the argument for, you know, former Governor Romney, but what about General Petraeus? Why rule him out? I understand the scandal, but everything you just described, he possesses.
I would agree. I think Petraeus is a really interesting choice. I'm glad that Donald Trump has decided to talk with him. And I think that we also have to remember that this is Trump's style. He likes to bring in a lot of points of view. He likes to assemble different thoughts, different opinions, and then he's going to make his decision. And he's going to make it based on which person will work best to advance his agenda and also bring good advice and good counsel and good organizational skills, I hope a stiff backbone, in order to advance his viewpoint, his policies on foreign affairs and also on domestic policy. So
now what about this? ISIS, late this afternoon, claiming responsibility for what happened at Ohio State. Now, the suspect reportedly posted, and it's chilling, this is an exact quote. This is the quote he posted: "I can't take it anymore." Minutes before, that student rammed his automobile into a crowd of people, pulled out a butcher knife, and then started slashing any unfortunate in his path. Now, the angry Facebook message in its totality says, quote, "I can't take it anymore, America. Stop interfering with other countries, especially the Muslim Ummah. We are not weak. We are not weak." Remember that. Laura, I mean, what do you think of the rant on Facebook? And I mean, ISIS would claim anything. They'd claim it's a chocolate shake if they could get credit for it. But what do you think of what he said on Facebook?
Well, yeah, he's obviously extremely disturbed, but I think we also have to remember that while there are, you know, hundreds of thousands of law-abiding Muslims who are entrepreneurs doing great things in America, there is also a real problem that we've had to confront with all these attacks with radicalization. And he obviously put his desire to advance an Islamic agenda ahead of the desire for what's best for his country. That's a real problem. We've seen it. We've seen this happen with the individuals in Twin Cities area going to fight with Al-Shabaab, the Al-Qaeda affiliate in Somalia. We've seen it in San Bernardino. We saw it at the, of course, attack in Orlando that killed so many Americans. We've seen it time and again, and this isn't going to stop unless we become very practical and very pragmatic about how we let people into the country, how we welcome them in.
Well, and this is a young man who was of Somali descent, went to Pakistan, and then came to the United States with his family. But I've got to imagine what makes people, especially Muslim Americans, cringe is here's a man who was complaining he didn't feel comfortable identifying, I guess, as Muslim in public because he talked about not being able to pray or find the prayer rooms at Ohio State.
Oh, please.
But then does the very thing which raises the questions about people like him, and clearly not about all Muslim Americans, but there's such a disconnect here. So how do you address that? I mean, here's a man, came to the United States as a young man, and then turns on his country.
He wasn't born here. It came through Pakistan into the United States, and fairly quickly given permanent resident status. That means it's as good as gold. Next status is citizenship, but he can work, he can study here legally as a permanent resident. He gets all the benefits of this country, and still isn't happy because he doesn't get accommodated in every way that would be required under Sharia law. That is obscene, it's absurd, yet there are a lot of people in our current culture, our politically correct climate that we've created in this country, a lot of people who feel like he does. And this is nothing new. We act like this is something new. Well, I guess because he used a car instead of, automatic weapon or semi-automatic weapon. But the weapon of choice that was just, suggested by ISIS was a vehicle.
Right.
Any weapon you can get your hand on to wreak vengeance upon the West, and he did just that.
And you probably, you probably, as this unfortunate event was unfolding, I mean, liberals were already talking about gun control as it was unfolding.
Of course.
Because the reports early on of an active shooter on the Ohio State campus, former Democratic vice presidential nominee, Senator Tim Kaine, he tweeted, deeply saddened by the senseless act of gun violence at Ohio State this morning, praying for the injured and the entire Buckeye community. But there was no gun involved, and OSU was already a gun-free zone. Judge Andrew Napolitano says that they should be called killing zones instead. Any thoughts on this? I mean, I know some schools you are allowed to carry concealed weapons. You want to weigh in on this? Yeah,
thank goodness we had a man with a gun who could end this carnage. So there was a gun on campus, and it was in the hands of a professional who knows how to use the weapon in a case of great distress such as this. So the left always runs to America is bad in a situation like this. It is like clockwork. They'll run to the Islamophobia charge. You're all Islamophobic, and by implication, we're to blame for this. So it's Islamophobia, and then it's guns. I mean, this is so textbook on the left. It's always America's fault. America's bad. The rest of the world's just misunderstood. And meanwhile, Americans are suffering. Many are already dead. And more will suffer because of this obscene and absolutely ridiculous approach to refugee policy and immigration, all the rest.